Welcome to the Adventures of the Monad. After introducing what chakras were and the functions they played in the etheric envelope, and also the link between the etheric and the emotional bodies, we are now ready to begin to discuss each chakra, but not sequentially, the reason for which will become apparent. The sacral center has 6 spokes, and therefore the same number of petals or undulations. In appearance, it is especially radiant, glowing and sun-like, although the color it emits is orange, not yellow. This center is unique because it has the all-important function of absorbing the vitality globules from the atmosphere, disintegrating them, and distributing the component atoms charged with the specialized and transmuted prana to the various parts of the body. The organ that has been linked to the absorption of prana is the spleen. This can cause confusion, as the sacral chakra is linked to the adrenal glands. For argument's sake, let us think of the sacral chakra as a complex of these 2 physical organs. The chakra itself radiates emotional energy, and through it the spleen distributes the prana. Although the diagram does not reveal it directly, the general appearance of this chakra is radiant and sun-like. Its function in the emotional center is to vitalize the emotional body. It also allows a clairvoyant to travel consciously in the emotional world, giving the traveler clear sensing and feeling. The function of the etheric center is to vitalize the physical body, and when fully operational, it allows the persona to have memories of their emotional journeys. To better understand the process, a series of diagrams will be presented and discussed. The first diagram shows the sacral center and its function in absorbing vitality globules. These globules are drawn into the center of the chakra. The next diagram shows the decomposition of the vitality globules. These globules, after being drawn into the center, where they are decomposed and the component particles are whirled around by secondary forces. To recap, the vitality globules are first drawn into the sacral center. Then they are broken up into 7 component atoms, each atom charged with one of the 7 varieties of prana. These atoms are then caught up by the rotating secondary forces and spun around the chakra. The 7 different kinds of prana are colored as follows: violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, dark red, rose red. It will be observed that the divisions are not exactly those to which we are accustomed in the solar spectrum, but resemble the arrangement of colors seen on higher levels in the causal, mental, and emotional bodies. The indigo spectrum is divided between the violet and the blue rays of prana, while the red of the spectrum is split into dark red and rose red prana. Each of the 6 spokes then seizes on one variety of atoms and dispatches it to the chakra or parts of the body to which it is needed. This accounts for 6 kinds of atoms only. The 7th variety, that colored rose pink, is dispatched through the hub or center of the sacral chakra itself, where it is distributed over the whole nervous system. These rose-colored atoms are the original atoms which first drew around them the 6 others to form the globule. The atoms which bear the rose-colored prana are clearly the life of the nervous system. It is this variety of prana which one person may give to another as a form of healing. If the nerves are insufficiently supplied with this rose-red colored prana, they become sensitive and intensely irritable. Such afflicted people find themselves restless, and the least noise or touch is agony to them. Instant relief may be afforded to such a person if some kind soul floods this person's nervous system with a supply of this magical rose-colored prana. Although there are 7 distinct kinds of prana, there are only 5 main streams, as described in some Indian books, because after issuing from the sacral chakra, the blue and the violet prana streams join into one stream, and the orange and dark red join into another stream. The streams leave the sacral center horizontally. The diagram shows this dispersal of the vitality particles. The sequence of events is: 1. Vitality globules are drawn into the center. 2. Vitality globules are broken up into particles. 3. Vitality particles are whirled around by the secondary forces. 4. Vitality particles are seized by appropriate spokes and dispatched to the destination shown in the diagram. It should be noted again that the rose-pink atoms are the original atoms, which first drew around them 6 others to form the globule. The color of the streams and their destinations are set out in the following table. Starting with the stream, you have violet blue. Its destination is the throat. In the case of the orange stream, the destination is the sacral center and abdomen. For the green center, you are going towards the heart. Orange, dark red, and some dark purple heads towards the base of the spine. Rose red, remember, is the primary color and goes to the nervous system. The various kinds of prana as charged atoms are distributed where required. The charge of the prana is withdrawn from them precisely as a charge of electricity may be withdrawn from an appliance. The prana gives life to the etheric envelope and the dense body. The degree of health of the various parts of the body is largely determined by the volume of prana distributed. The bearing of this significant fact on the maintenance of physical vigor and the cause of disease is of very great importance and will be considered further in the presentation devoted to healing and mesmerism. The atoms bearing the rose-colored prana grow gradually paler as they sweep along the nerves and part with their pranic content. They are eventually discharged from the body through the pores of the skin, as well as in other ways, forming what is called the health aura, a pale bluish-white emanation. In a person exhibiting vigorous health, the spleen does its work so generously that considerably more of the particles charged with prana are present than the person requires for their own use. These unused particles are discharged from the body in all directions through the health aura, along with particles from which the prana has been extracted. Such a person is thus a source of health and strength to those around them, constantly, though unconsciously, shedding vitality on any who may be in their vicinity. This process may be considerably intensified by those who set themselves to heal others. The opposite of this is the person who seems to drain the life energy from you. I'm sure you have met such people. In addition to these particles just mentioned, it is also well known that small particles of dense physical matter are continually being thrown off from a person's body, through non-visible perspiration and in other ways. A clairvoyant sees these particles as a faint grey mist. Many of the particles are crystalline in form and therefore appear as geometrical shapes. One of the commonest is that of salt or sodium chloride, which takes the form of cubes. As already mentioned, a person who is unable for any reason to collect and process sufficient amounts of prana frequently and also unconsciously acts as a sponge. What happens is that their physical elemental or nature spirit draws vitality from any sensitive person who happens to be near, to their own temporary benefit. This phenomenon largely accounts for those feelings of weariness which come over one after being near people who, not being very strong themselves, possess this unfortunate vampire-like faculty of draining others of vitality. The same thing may happen, often in an aggravated form, at spiritualistic seances. The vegetable kingdom also absorbs vitality, but seems in most cases to use only a small part of it. Many trees, especially the pine and eucalyptus, extract from the globules almost exactly the same constituents as does the higher part of man's etheric body, and rejects any superfluous atoms charged with rose-colored prana, which they do not themselves require. Hence, the proximity of such trees is extremely beneficial for people whose nervous energy reserves are depleted. The health aura, consisting of these particles ejected from the body, serves the useful purpose of protecting a person from the invasion of disease germs. In healthy people, the particles are thrown out through the pores in straight lines at right angles to the surface of the body, giving the health aura a striated effect. As long as the lines remain firm and straight, the body seems to be almost entirely protected from the attack of evil physical influences, such as disease germs, the germs being repelled and carried away by the outrush of the pranic force. But when on account of weakness, overfatigue, a wound, depression of spirit, or through the excesses of an irregular life, an unusually large amount of prana is required to repair the waste or damage within the body, and there is consequently a serious diminution in the quantity of radiated particles. The lines of the health aura droop, becoming erratic and confused. The system of defense is weakened, and it is then comparatively easy for deadly germs to effect an entrance. You have been warned. Both etheric matter and prana are very easily influenced by the human will. It is possible, therefore, to protect oneself to a considerable extent from the hostile influences just mentioned, by making an effort of the will to check the radiation of vitality at the outer extremity of the health aura, building it there into a wall or shell, which will be impervious to disease germs and also prevent the vitality from being sucked away by anyone near who has vampire tendencies. With a little further effort, a shell may be made impervious also to the negative emotional or mental influences. The question of etheric shells is so important that it will be necessary later on in this series of presentations to enter into it rather more fully than we have done here, where we will be dealing purely with the health aura. Jumping up to the next chakra in the body, the development of the navel center enables a person to remember their emotional journey, though sometimes only very partially. The faculty associated with the corresponding emotional center being that of traveling consciously in the emotional body. Those vague memories that most of us have of blissful flights through the air are often due to slight accidental stimulation of the solar plexus (navel) chakra. It may be mentioned in passing that the emotional center corresponding to the navel chakra also has the function of vitalizing the whole emotional body. And on that bombshell, let's end it here and see you next time to continue the story. Thank you.